hip hop. Yo, what it be, man?
Yo. Word, man, word.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna do I'm gonna do an Anchorman
You gotta do it
voice.
like Ice-T, okay? You gotta do it like Ice-T.
Well, I've got tea. I've got tea, and it's quite cold, but it's not iced tea.
Mine too.
I'm gonna be called Warm Tea instead of
Okay.
That could be a good parody. Yo, brother, man, I'm iced tea, and I went across the pond and made warm tea.
I could
We could
have,
just go on for an hour, couldn't we?
I
Just
could have
do
Michael
this?
Chambers just go on in his English accent.
Yeah, we'll
the
just
whole
set
time.
him off, let him go
He
for an
loves
hour.
me. He loves me English accent, does he? No, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to do my.
I can feel quite humbled by that compliment. Thank you very much. It's an nobility of it.
No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a fake English accent now. Hello, how you doing? I'm Dick Van Dyke. I'm just doing the chili.
Yes.
I'll do an NPR American accent. You know.
Go on.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Many artistic genres have risen to prominence and fallen back over the last 40 years. Hip-hop was seen as a fad when it first gained mainstream attention, but it has proven to be probably the most influential of them all. It started out like any subculture, a way for disenfranchised people to express themselves outside the mainstream. But even when it started, there were rivalries and face-offs. Right, I'm going to stop doing that accent now because that's ridiculous.
Wow.
That competition is exaggerated.
Well done, Jamie. Well done.
So what I'm talking about in here basically is the type of movie that's kind of a battle. It turns art into a weapon. Yeah.
Wow.
There was a film called Wild Style from 1982 that had graffiti. It had a rap battle scene. Then there was also in 1984 Purple Rain, which was kind of that, but it was really Prince versus Prince, wasn't it? Because
I think it's stretching it just a little bit there, Jamie.
well, then there was what about the film Crossroads in 1986, where Ralph Macchio fights Steve Vai with a guitar? There you go. That is a film where there's two. They're fighting with art.
That was a pretty cool film.
That was a
Tom Hanks tried in vain to make comedy a battleground in 1988's misleadingly named Punchline. Remember that film? They were all fighting to get their showcase gig. And he was meant to be a stand-up comedian. Didn't really work. And then there was Sister Act, which started off the whole competitive group singing thing, which now still persists. But probably the most recognised early art battle movie was Breakin, or Breakdance as it was called in the UK. Our guest today was a lead actor in the Breakin films and has done lots of other things as well, which I'm sure he'll tell us about. Micheal Chambers, known in the movie as Turbo, but in the b-boy world as Boogaloo Shrimp.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Hello. My hat's off to you.
My hat's off
to you. Thank you for having me. For me, I never really realized that my art would take me across the pond and then some. So now in 2020, with all the things that are going on in the world, this is like a ray of sunshine, just because we get a chance to break away from the monotony of what's going on in media and go back to a happier time and talk about music and good things that incorporated all walks of life and all nationalities. So on that premise, thank you.
I want to know how have you.
It's a more optimistic.
Positive. Yeah, I want to know how you've been.
Definitely positive. I wanted to show you how prepared I was. If you could see this, I have my London. See that London? I have a London magnet. See, it's
all right.
That's Big Ben.
The Elizabeth Tower. That is the Elizabeth Tower.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. The tower is called the Elizabeth Tower. The bell inside is called Big Ben.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so Elizabeth is based on Queen Elizabeth, right?
Yeah, the original Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So here, now that you brought that up, we over here always heard the Beatles song, "There were bells in the spring, but I never heard them ringing. No, I never heard them at all. Then there was you." So did Paul McCartney and the Beatles at that time were they inspired by like the Bells and Big Ben, or when they were writing their songs, did it have anything to do with Big Ben and the Bells?
I'm not entirely sure. It might have had. It may well be that there were. I don't know if you've heard of Morris dancing.
Because people in London would hear bells from that castle, right? Bing, bing.
Have you heard of Morris dancing?
Morris dancing?
Yes, it's an ancient form of dancing.
No.
That they would do in the spring.
Oh wow!
And men would dress up. They'd have a maypole.
Oh wow!
And they dance around the maypole, and women would put ribbons and tie the ribbons around the maypole.
So there was an interpretation.
And they had bells on their. They had sticks with bells, and they would wave the bells.
There was a brilliant artist named Malcolm McLaren in the 80s. Two Buffalo girls going round the outside, round the outside. Do you know what I mean? So maybe he was inspired by what you're talking about, because that was definitely before him, but that was a real popular breakdance song in the 80s. Two Buffalo girls going round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
I had the album.
Yeah. So this is all correlating. I love it.
I know. He started off the Sex Pistols.
Oh wow! Now this is really. You know what's brilliant about this? Just before the COVID-19, I was honored to be allowed to speak at the University of Southern California, USC here, and a professor, he listened to my speech to the hip hop class, and he says, "You know what? I'd like for you to speak at my music class." So he was a professor at the Thornton Music School. So as I started speaking at his music school, he was really interested in how the students received me, because what I did, I prepared the musicology timeline and the fashion and the whole 80s circa bomb, meaning I didn't just go into talking about hip hop and breakdancing and popping. I told them, well, wow, when new wave came into the 80s, we had Debo, we had Thomas Dolby, Poetry in Motion. The thing is, we had Depeche Mode, Can you see the world in my eyes?
And
Dave Gahan,
and Kraftwerk.
Well, yeah, and Dave Gahan and Depeche Mode, they had electronica. Can you see the world in my eyes on the policy of truth? So their whole electronica sound helped people kind of dance, like in raves and stuff like that. But we as dancers in California, we were listening to Top of the Pops. You know what I mean? Anything on the Top of the Pops, we would dance to, because a lot of that British electronica and a lot of the British pop music, Top of the Pops, you know what I mean? For sure, yeah. The thing is,
Gary Newman and stuff like that.
Yeah. We were Human League. I'm only human. Keep feeling fascination. Duran Duran. The reflex is lonely. Simon Le Bon. The thing is, all that great British music helped influence our and my hip hop, because you could look at my fashion in the movie Breakin, and if you go back in the early 80s, the leg warmers and the whole the metal accessories, believe it or not, when MTV came out on the scene, MTV was showcasing Judas Priest, Metallica, Led Zeppelin, David Bowie, Let's Dance. Everybody had their 15 minutes to launch their music. And so the thing is, we in California were receiving all these images, right? So I really appreciate what you said about the Sex Pistols, because most of the new generation of hip hop people, they always skip over I would say the Aryan, the white contribution to hip hop. And I have to be very honest. There was a white contribution to hip hop, starting with Deborah Harry. If you look at Blondie, Rapture, Fat Five, Fetty Bun, Fit him on the side. She is definitely rapping in a hit song. And in disco, Blondie was right there with Donna Summers. Donna Summers was right there, but Blondie was definitely right there. And she even defined her song to the punk rock. It was like funk rock with hip hop. Yeah. But it seemed like when hip hop
the fashion as well. You were saying about the metal studs and all that. That's straight out of punk, isn't it?
Of course it is. And if you remember back in the 80s, In London, in the Piccadilly Circus, you could go to King's Road and find some of those band jackets or the accessories. People all around the world will shop in London in King's Road. It's very true.
And they'd always get a picture with those guys with the big hair, the mohawk.
Exactly. And the thing is, and then you would see some of the really cool kids at the Hippodrome. The guys from the West End, the girls in a West End town and ten and world, the East End boys, West End girls, they would go to the Hippodrome. West End girls. So the thing, So the thing is, I really like this conversation because people need to know London, the UK, was like ground zero international hip hop before it went to all these other countries. I mean, we're on the same page because I am reinforcing as an ambassador from California your knowledge of hip hop. You all know New York, East Coast hip hop, Cool Herc, Wild Style, Beat Street, you know, what was happening in the East Coast. Yeah. But now by interviewing me, now you're getting the California West Coast, which was not Dr. Dre West Coast. It was pre 90s hip hop. Our hip hop was more, you know, early 80s, you know, the Devo, Rapper's Delight, you know, the Fat Boys, Run DMC. That's our hip hop that we're talking about now.
Yeah. And I said Kraftwerk because Kraftwerk's Tour de France was your soundtrack to one of your scenes in the movie Breakin, wasn't it?
Yes, and now that you mentioned that, my deep condolences to their fallen band member. Most recently, one of the members of Kraftwerk passed away. So my deep condolences to their band members and their family. And you know,
they were an electro pioneer, really.
What's really interesting, even before my film, the music Tour de France, when the art of popping, and in London sometimes they express it as body popping, because Jeffrey Daniels from Shalimar, here we go, ready?
Oh, here we go.
Jeffrey Daniels from Shalimar introduced the word body popping to all the Brits. And when they interviewed him after he got famous with the group Shalimar, and they asked Jeffrey, what were you doing? He said, I'm body popping. It's very true. So until we came, meaning me and Adolfo Quinones from the movie Breakin, until we came to London to actually set the record straight about what these dance styles were, most of the people that interviewed us, our first interview was Top of the Pops. Top of the Pops was a music show. And, you know, we did heavy promotion for the movie Breakin because we introduced the film at the Cannes Film Festival. Oh. Menachem Golan and Yoram Globus from Israel, Cannes Films, distribution by MGM, right? This is my best Israeli voice. Menachem introduced...
Be careful.
No.
In this climate, I'm just saying.
No. It's respectful. It's respectful because he hired me, and I have very deep respect for the Israeli production company that helped launch our movie. So out of respect, I was just, you know, I'm a comedian, so when I do accents,
I'm joking with you. We know.
Okay. But you're joking, but I want to make sure the listeners know I have deep respect. But as I was saying, they wanted to make international money, so they didn't hire us for a film and distributed it here. They went straight to the ground zero, Cannes Film Festival in Nice. So we were there at the Ritz-Carlton having our movie thing like everybody does the rounds, the red carpet. And guess what? Right after we did Cannes Film Festival, the thing is, we hit Germany, Frankfurt, Munich, everywhere in Holland, everywhere, Amsterdam. We did everything on that side of the pond, and then we ended up in London. London, that is, you know, I'm Henry VIII, I am Henry VIII, I am. So no. So my first time in London, we were on Top of the Pops, and when the person interviewed us, the first thing she said, well, look, please indulge us as to the right terminology of what you guys are doing now. She goes, because just before you guys landed here, she said, Jeffrey Daniels from the music group Shalimar, he was interviewed and he said his style was body popping because when Shalimar's music came out, it was really big in London, and Jeffrey was the dancer, not Howard Hewitt or Jody Watley. Jeffrey was the amazing sensei. They were, look at him. So he would dance, and people were like, wow, what is this? And Jeffrey called his style body popping. And if you look at some of the footage, he's wearing white gloves and he's doing the French mime Marcel Marcion. If you look at the wall, no, if you look at Jeffrey was doing Marcel Marcion from France. And if everybody knows about miming, the first thing about a mime is his hands and white gloves. So there we have it. Jeffrey Daniels' style was based on lyrical mime. See? So we were a different generation because I didn't wear gloves. Micheal Jackson wore one, but I didn't wear gloves. When I wore gloves, we wore spiked leather gloves, kind of like Judas Priest or some of the new wave early metal people, like you mentioned, Sex Pistols and
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, well, Iron Maiden, all those really, really cool rock bands that had leather. When we went shopping, we just kind of grabbed a little this, a little this, and a little that, and just kind of made our own accessories. So people never really understood what was Turbo and Ozone's wardrobe. They always said that we were, I mean, usually when write-ups, they said that we were a knockoff of New York, but the real definition was LA, our interpretation of hip hop was inspired by New Wave. New York's interpretation of hip hop was their own because New York had their gazelles and the Kangol hats and the big chains and you can see it's very distinctive. Even their clothes was geared towards winter. If you look at some of the big clothes, that was winter because New York is really cold, right?
And wind cheaters.
So they made it very fashionable to look good in the winter. Whereas we had the summertime, California, the palm trees, all the leaves are brown and the sky is gray, right? Mm-hmm. So the thing is, we had a California interpretation and that translated in the film Breaking. So I'm just glad that we're clearing up these little things that are very, very important.
And I think you inspired like so many of the old arcade games, like Double Dragon, Final Fight, all of those things. All the gang members in those
video games,
in those games, like they just walk straight out of the background of Breaking.
Well, you know what? That's very flattering because I never really paid attention to that kind of stuff, but I'm glad
Japanese
that
did.
Oh, the Japanese definitely did, yes.
Well, look, I'm really glad that you brought that up because it was only until I started speaking at USC that I realized, wow, and that was just before COVID-19. So this is a whole new generation of music and fashion and dance aficionados, right? So when I did my timeline from new wave to funk to the electronica to, well, you mentioned Kraftwerk, my thesis and when I spoke, these students were like, wow, we went from the Depeche Mode. We had Africa Bambaata's Planet Rock, that's electronic. Then Egyptian Lover, who had his sound in West, the electric kind of sound. Then we went deeper. Thomas Dolby had that big bass in there. Poetry in motion. Devo, correct that whip. I mean, Mark Mothersbaugh, he had some very. Danny Elfman, Oingo Boingo, Weird Science, Magic E Technology. You can dance to Weird Science. So the thing is, for people that just look at Kid and Play, MC Hammer, George Clinton Funkadelic or whatever, that's fine and dandy, but there's a bigger timeline that helps shape the backbone of the dance, and that new wave music was right there.
Art of Noise.
Art of Noise? Thank you. Art of Noise is another British band. And if you look at it, most of their music, they were playing with all the electronica and made beautiful textures. Like their first music that came out, I really love I don't know the name of the album, but they have a slow song which was called Moments of Love. Bum, 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 bum. And I actually was in a production, an off-Broadway play called Jam on the Groove with some people from the movie Beach Street in 1996. And they did a dance number with popping to the Art of Noise slow music, which I thought took dancing at that time to a different level because everybody was, used to like, like the scratch and the big radio and the chains.
Yeah.
But once we took that off from the cardboard and the streets to another level, the thing is now there was room for respectability. Now, my other co-star in the movie Breakin, Bruno Falcon, who worked with Micheal Jackson in Captain EO and Smooth Criminal and on his tour, he did an interesting experiment, and it went under the radar, but this was brilliant. This guy, he said, okay, I'm not going to dance to rap music, and I'm not just going to dance to your typical funk. He goes, I want to go Beethoven. Roll over Beethoven. So the thing is, back to the bagels, back off, Boogaloo, Ringo Starr, yeah. So what he did, he started dancing to Beethoven's Fifth. So the thing is, it was brilliant because he was popping to Beethoven's Fifth. So now we're getting into a whole nother genre because what we were doing, we weren't joining the crowd. We were becoming masters of the art of freestyle dance. And it just me, myself, I'm happy to be able to play a small part of a global art form because jazz, tap, and all these other forms had their innovators.
Can I ask you about, because you did two major scenes in the two Breakin films, right?
Yes, sir.
One was the broom dance.
Yes.
And one was the room dance.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, and from what I gather, the origins of those scenes both kind of had some roots in Fred Astaire movies.
Well, they definitely did. And it starts like this. In the first film, Breakin, the person who's billed on the credit as the choreographer, but if you really look, it says choreography staging, not choreography, because he didn't teach us how to dance. We were masters. He just positioned us. But with his years in the business, it came out brilliant, was Hyman Rogers. Hyman Rogers was one of the original members of West Side Story. So the Sharks and the Rita Moreno, I mean, come on, West Side Story. So that was a brilliant musical, okay? So we were able to be honored, to be mentored as far as visual guidance for our first film debut by one of Hollywood's greats. So the thing is, now it makes sense. Behind the scenes, when he's seen what I could do, he told everybody, let this guy just do what he does. Film him from all angles, because it wasn't like television where they had a 3 camera.
Yeah.
No, this was film. And everything was green, so they were like, there was no special effects. So they were like, okay, let's do one take this way and do another take. It wasn't 3 cameras. It was like, let's just get close, right? And just capture everything. The worst thing that happened is that film company, Canon Film Company, they had never filmed anybody like me. So if you look at my broom dance scene, the dance solo, which was not magic, it was a theatrical hip hop piece without green screen, for the record, okay? Everybody always said, oh, it's magical. No. It wasn't about magic. It was about theatrics using a new art form with a cheap prop. So that's the truth. So look, so they were trying to figure out how can we build this dance solo, which was off page. It was not in the script. They just said Turbo's going to do something. So that even raises the bar. As I got cast and they seen what else I could bring to the table, then the script went to a whole nother level because not only was I an improv comedian, and also, for the record, my lines in the movie, they were improv. They were improv. Not only because I wasn't really an actor, I was a dancer doing acting scenes in situations. The thing is,
how many takes did you take? How many takes did that.
You know what? You know what? I'll be honest. Think about it. I was 16 years old, so there was only so much I could focus on, and I focused on what was important. I shut up, did my job, and just let come what went. No. That's very serious, because what happens is sometimes people get a job in Hollywood and they want to be a director, they want to write, and they're nosy. Okay, there's so many people that contribute to a film, and guess what? I just shut up, did my job, and the rest is history. So I didn't worry about. No, it's true. I didn't worry about those details because I worried about being the best I could be, and it shows to this day. My point is this. Back to Fred Astaire.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Hyman Rogers staged and choreographed the piece. So the thing is, once he started working the scene, we realized later his mentors was Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly, because what they were trying to do was make it better than just a cardboard breakdancing thing. I mean, that particular scene, and it's not me bragging about it, I'm going from the worldwide press and certain like that particular scene has been billed as, you know, the hip hop Fred Astaire tribute. I mean, for dancers of all styles, they've always given me credit going, wow, he really pulled off that solo, because Fred Astaire did a dance with a coat rack. He did a coat rack dance in one of his films. Then,
and he probably had about 50 million takes to do it and all sorts of rehearsals.
Yeah, but he was older than me. I was only 16. So the difference between him and Fred Astaire was an adult. Fred Astaire was an adult. I was still 16. So on that merit, it kind of really shows where my mind was. I was kind of really seriously, all I had was my craft, you know, even though I was a young African-American who was green in the business, I just did what I had to do. I didn't, you know, I wasn't trying to be a pretty boy. I wasn't trying to be Mr. I just let my talent speak for itself. That's why it was so pure. And in Breaking 2, for the record, the reason why the script wasn't as good as the first one is because Canon Films thought, okay, well, maybe this is a passing fad. Let's hurry up and get a film out there so that we can at least make some money before it dies, right? The best thing that happened when they did Breaking 2, they not only allowed me to follow up on the MGM musical tradition of Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly with A Room, which Fred Astaire did Royal Wedding. Royal Wedding, for the record, was the room scene that Fred Astaire debuted, that dancing on the ceiling. Some people have said, no, I seen it in Nightmare on Elm Street and da-da-da, but this was before horror films.
Old. Yeah.
Yeah, no. This was before horror films. Yeah. Fred Astaire, in being consistent with continuity, Fred Astaire did both dances, and so my dance scenes was an indirect, you know, tribute, you know, to him. So I just want to make sure that that's cleared up, because
there was something I wanted to ask about, because you said about Jeffrey Daniels, right, and him calling the dance body popping, right?
Well, now, I want to make sure. I said when we did the interview in London,
that's the lady told you.
The lady in London on Top of the Pops, she said that Jeffrey Daniels, before we came to London, before the movie broke, she said before we even got there, Jeffrey Daniels had told people that his style was body popping. She said it.
Yeah, and there was another thing I wanted to ask about, another a particular dance, which is the moonwalk.
Okay.
Right? Now, the moonwalk, from what I understand, was actually the backslide.
Yes, it is. Yay! You know.
Yeah. Oh, well, I did a little bit of.
It's true. It's true.
When I was younger, I did a little bit of breakdancing.
That's why I got him on today, because he's.
I love it. Hold on. Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah. No, when you said that, I had to get this. See him? Wait. There you go. See? Do you see him?
Just about, just at the bottom. Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, wow. Love it.
I had to do that because you did the
I have something here which you might be interested in. What would your comment be about this?
Okay.
Barney's clothes.
Okay. Ready. I'll do it in my. I'll do my con. Hold on.
Go on, do it. You gotta do
Here
it.
we go. Ready? Well, all I'd like to say is I really appreciate having that job with Mr. Jackson. This was before you guys in the media over there called him Jacko, but it was a really fun project. He wrote the song, he hired me, and I really appreciated doing everybody if you can do the Bartman, shake it out, do the Bartman, do the Bartman.
Yeah, that's another.
Being around Michael so much, I got a chance to actually get his voice. It's almost like a natural sound bite. Thank you very much. I don't know whether to laugh.
What was it like working with Michael?
On a daily basis.
On a daily basis.
Wait a minute. I got something. Watch.
Here we go.
I figure in honor of the big guy, Mr. Jackson.
MJ.
This is the guy. He's like, she's out of my life. So I've learned.
Oh yeah, signed 2 shirts. Thank you.
You know it's signed. Look, you know what he said. When I work, here we go. Watch. When I worked with this great man, here's the video. When I worked with him, it was an honor, but he liked the fact that I didn't treat him like a gigantic star. I treated him with respect. So the thing is, at my age, when we first started working together, I was only 14. And the thing is, as a 14-year-old, you know, if you know somebody's famous, what do? You ask for an autograph. Well, his autograph really says a lot about our sessions. Let me see. It says, his autograph, thank you, you're a kind person. If you look at that, if you look deeply, out of anything that man could have said to me, he said, thank you, you're a kind person. The reason why he said thank you is because I wasn't like, okay, here, give me some money. They put it on plastic. Hey, my lawyer. I didn't come at him like all these other people trying to take his money, right? And neither did his brothers think that. I mean, we're talking about, this is the tour guide from when we did the Victory Tour. When I said the Victory Tour, which was 1983. 1983 was Lionel Richie, All Night Long. And then after we finished the tour, Lionel Richie and Michael wrote, we are the world, we are the children. They wrote that great song, right? So the thing is, that timeline is very important because all these big, gigantic things were happening in the world. And right there, little old me, right? The little bloke, the little noisy bloke.
Little bloke.
Yeah.
He that sweeps a lot. It's terrible. Get the dust. Clean up, chip, cheerio, clean it up. No.
My God.
Would that be your night at the round table name then?
That would be, you know what? If I
sweep a lot, yeah.
If I don't do anything else in this world, and after the COVID-19, if somebody decided, okay, you know what? We need a new statue for Madame Tussauds. If people went through Madame Tussauds Wax Museum and just saw a black guy with a broom, they can tell somebody, well, wait, what is his name? Who is he? What's he do? Well, it's he that sweeps a lot. He used to sweep.
Yeah, he used to sweep a lot.
We went to Madame Tussauds once.
That would be my royal noble name. It's he that sweeps a lot.
I'll make it happen. I'll tell the Queen.
Make it happen. Madame Tussauds, for sure. Yeah. Sweep it up. No complaint. Just do your job, you bloke. Do it now.
Chip.
We went to Madame Tussauds and visited it once. And
tell Mr. Bean. Ask Mr. Bean. Tell him to sweep. Mr. Bean, get him now. Get him now.
I doubt he's royal enough.
He's not called Lord Bean. He's just Mr. Bean.
Yes, it's Lord Bean.
That would be a good
Talking
commercial.
of your name. Talking of your name.
Yes, sir.
Name.
I saw something. I don't know if it was true. That it was because you were brought up in like a fishing town.
Yeah, where I grew up. All seriousness, and respect to all the people who worked really hard at those docks. it's considered the heart of the harbor, Los Angeles Harbor, the port of Los Angeles. So most people back in the day, after they decided to settle down, they would get jobs at the fish canneries, Vandy Camp
Right.
Seafood, Chicken of the Sea. I mean, 9 times out of 10, the fishing industry, they would go out and catch tuna and all the really nice stuff, and then come to the port, and then people had to. There was a lot of fish and seafood commerce, fish canneries canning tuna and stuff. So it was a pretty busy little town, and a lot of the laborers coveted those jobs because you could raise a family on that salary, like my dad.
Yeah. Another area I was wondering about was Redondo Beach Pier.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. Did you actually hang out there? Because I heard that you like danced there. Is that true?
Well, yeah, it was actually a joke because one of my brother's friends, my brother James, he was already. I'm the baby of the family, so I was always the tag along. I wanted to see what my older brothers and sisters were doing. So my brother, he realized, okay, you know what? If you're gonna hang around with me, you might as well be amusing, do something. So the thing is, they had their boombox, and his friends were like, hey, well, you know what? It's like the live serial. Hey, Mikey, dance. They were like, hey, you know what? Put some music on, let Michael dance, and maybe he'll make some money. It kind of started off as a joke. So we went to Redondo Beach Pier. They played some music. They had me do my thing, and I kind of started off like Jack from H&R Puffin stuff. I am a mechanical boy. I am a mechanical. No. I kind of did my little routine. And sure enough, people started throwing money. And my brother says, hey, that's a $5 or $10 bill. You better get like a bucket or whatever. So people would throw money in my bucket. So after a few weeks, the people at Redondo Beach said, hey, you can't do this without a permit. Because I was making close to like $200 just in change. And so, no. So I actually, I didn't understand that because, of course, I was underage. I didn't understand the political red tape in the business. I was just a street guy, right? A little bloke. But the best thing that happened when they started throwing money and I realized how much money legally I was making, I got addicted to dance because I realized right then and there, and this is very important. I realized right then and there that I wasn't a stereotype. I wasn't just a lazy, useless African-American hanging out, doing something, being a vagabond or a vagrant. I was earning money legally with whatever resources. Mm-hmm. And when I danced, I was just a darker shade of human because everybody was like, hey, man, this is a cool guy. They didn't say, well, this, this is a cool ethnic person. No, my dance took the visual of my race, that wall down. And I tell you, it was very important for me as a young kid because I was dancing on that pier at 11 years old. And the thing is, that area was predominantly white. We had Italians. We had a lot of Italian people over there because they had the money. We had Croatians. We had Israeli. We had Jewish. We have German. We have a lot of people. I mean, usually by the seaports, people that have companies, diamonds, money is a commodity, they got money. So the thing is, I'm dancing on that pier without being judged for my race. Of course, I got addicted to it because now my past was like, okay, you know what? I'm not associated with whatever movie you've seen or whatever problem is in your community.
Yeah,
I'm bringing
stereotype.
Yeah. I'm bringing peace. I'm bringing in entertainment. And if you're loving me and paying for it, I'm like, hey, I got a good job. So, yeah, I kept it going from there. I realized really quick that if I just do this wholesome activity and show respect to my fellow man, fellow woman, then God's going to bless me with just being able to be accepted in a social environment and earn my keep. And you know what? It resonated with me, right? Back in 1980, 81, and it's important to bring that up just because I know that there may be parents and people who have their kids, they want to be cool and in the hip hop or whatever. But beyond the hip hop, we're all a human family. And when we find something in common that we could talk about, there goes the barrier, there goes the icebreaker, because now it's like a human league. I'm only human, of flesh and blood I'm made. And the thing is, at the end of the day, God created us all. I don't know how religious everybody is, but we do have a creator, and it's really beautiful to see how we use our different talents and the things in common to have conversations like this and actually teach others. Look at how far we've come from the 80s just with dance and hip hop, and we're having this conversation, right?
I know it's taken you a long way.
Yeah, it's taken all of us, because there's a lot of people who still like dance and music, but we had that foundation to build on. That's what I'm saying.